It's a non-intellectual process. I may be looking to score or something and that's it, you know. But how did I write these pieces then? Because you said, I like this, I like blah, blah, blah. I forgot about everything. And you brought it close again to me. It's very philosophical, you know, and it's not understandable for most of the people probably. Most of the people would say, it's a little bit odd, you know. Of course I'm odd. Zappa had the function to be ugly, to have long hair in the first hand, just do your thing, and a rock band can do much, much, much more than you would think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's very, and you can adapt this, that's a philosophy.
Between 1,500 to 5,600 feet beside the tropic. Not only soybeans and exotic herbs are planted, but also the very unknown Altura aquatic beans. It's surely something for you too, and I give the advice, try it. And now, my dear TV friends, dance along to the Quotapec bush bean variations.
Strong smell of camphor. Camphor. Hello, Stefan.
Stefan, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So here we are. Stefan's apartment. Isn't that wonderful?
Take a look.
Should we have a little look around? These wonderful views.
This is my Christmas tree. And this is my family photo.
Ah, look at that.
Stefan Kari, Hare Krishna Kari. This is for your son. Well, these places were just some clubs in Switzerland. And in the next town, St. Gallen, there was a club called Africana, and it was decorated with artifacts from Africa, you know. That was modern then, somehow. That was, I think, 68 probably, so I was 17. So I was already conscious about what is a good guitar player. And Jeff Beck was definitely better than the rest I've heard on the radio. Played on this tiny little stage with Rod Stewart, and I was sitting just in front of it, you know, and Rod Stewart was there always signing to Jeff Beck because he was really fantastic, and I was screamed, no, you're the best, something, and he shook my hand. But that was just a big impression, to support the vision or the idea. I want to go in this kind of direction, without knowing which direction it really was, because there were so many good acts. I saw John Mayall at the same time as well, and that was great. He had this belt they used for the bullets, and had harmonicas around him. But an even more impressive concert was in Zurich, in a nightclub, in a bourgeois nightclub with Pink Floyd. And Gilmour was very new in the band, and I really was wondering, because all these noises, all these new sounds, which I was very fascinated, they could produce on stage. They had little equipment, and they just, with finger technique, with playing where they played on the strings, or the echoes or all that stuff. That was very impressive. That was, every time it was a support. Yes, I want to do something like this. When we started off with Tea, one of the first songs was Gloria by them, which after 15 minutes of playing this in improvisation went into Pink Floyd and only noises and stuff, So it was not very clear which direction. My first instrument in 1963 was piano of my father. I had a piano teacher called Jaroslav Tchaikovsky from Poland. Very classical everything. So I learned to read the notes. I was quite bored with it, but it was very helpful for later, And then my parents gave me for Christmas a electric guitar, a Ramus, which was very helpful and an honor today, because they supported a music that I didn't understand. But I knew the new generation goes into life like this. It's with a guitar around the neck. This is the weapon. And the first band, I played guitar, but I was not really good, I think. It was okay. It sounded like a band should sound, And then Ron Kurz came. He's an American, Swiss American, and he was much better. So I decided to play Hammond. And nobody had a keyboard, and I had a keyboard. It was both opinions. There were 7 issues of the Red Devil Band. There were a lot of changes, because every individual brought something, a flavor in. It just happened, it appeared to somebody, and I thought, well, that can fit,
For your rotten brain, turn around and she took all the rubber off, and underneath I found a female grizzly bear. She came down all the way from yesterday. The grizzly kicks her down and puts the rubber on. Then she put some makeup on like Blondie, but the village people take not one to sing. So the grizzly now thinks we could all in for step.
You love me. Now I'll say that you need me.
fantastic, bombastic, plastic brass quartet.
Because in 1986 I decided I don't want to have all these band leader hassles, you know, and it's gotten very, very commercial, which is not something bad at all, you know. It was a good way to be commercial, and was about to get a big record deal, and somebody was not very good deal to do it, and the record company, you know, didn't want to do it, and they said, well, that's it, that was it, you know. From now on, I'm going to be a composer and concentrate myself on contemporary classical music. More music from the gas station. I was always in the lucky situation, I always got the money together. I always had plenty of money for my projects. But more music from the gas station, I don't know. I look at it, I hear it, and how did I do it? Your favorite section at Meyer Lansky, that high point, you know. How the fuck did I write this? What was in my head? And I did it from hand, piano in hand. And composing on piano is 60% is really checking where are my fingers, do my fingers the right thing, and maybe 10% is what your ears get, you know. So you really have to be open to have it in your head. Exercise for guitar is a reduction of a composition called Wild Root Cream Oil for Chamber Orchestra, written in August 1986 after the break-off of the bandleader years. No bands anymore. Exercise for guitar was the basic of a composition titled Obscure Lunchtime Obsession for Dutch Reed Quintet Halifax, premiered as part of the Sheriff Collection in 1991 at the Icebreaker in Amsterdam. This piece also was arranged for octet and was part of my opera Late Afternoon in Paradise.
I was just interested to know if there were any particular scores that you studied that you found interesting.
Of course, there's this.
Les Cinq Doigts for piano, Michael Stravinsky.
Very easy music. Of course, we don't have. You don't get that at all. This is a new one. This is the Ali Perskin. Ali Askin Ensemble Modern version, you know. And this is, of course, yeah, the old version and the new version. Mm-hmm. This is one of the... And then I think sometimes, I'm not an esoteric at all, I must say that, but I think I come from the postmodern or from the modern times. That's my era. I want to live. I would love to go back with this music there to this place without electrified instruments and nothing. These are my heroes. Dwayne Bailey from Wichita, Kansas, like Craig Twister Stewart, they were, I think, friends there. And Dwayne Bailey had a little magazine, something like the Prairie Echo or something, and he was a kind of a fan of the Red Devil Band. And there were some other Zappa people who liked the Red Devil Band because it was Zappa for poor people, you know. They could understand it in a better way. It was easier, you know. It was easier than Zappa. Do it again. Now in reggae. It was just simple in a way, you know. It's not simple, but they liked it very much, and I had a lot of echoes and stuff. And so I thought, well, I would like to find out who is Dwayne Bailey, what kind of guy is he, you know. He introduced me to Don Preston, but as I remember, I think I saw Don Preston before at the Grandmother's concert with Jim Carl Black, and Jim Carl Black wanted to have some songs for him, which I wrote, and he just disappeared again, and I recorded them on I'm Alive. Robbie Krieger was a friend of Don Preston, and he said, well, it was a good idea to make a band and everything. It was a little bit prefixed everything with the management in Switzerland, you know, planned. So that was, I think, a big part as well, just to say, I have to think about it. The second one was David Keith Baker. And David Keith Baker was kind of a freak with a beard, long hair. He worked for a company called Green World. And he said, well, finally I'm in a record company and I want to produce your music, the first 2 LPs. And then he sent all the new covers and then the new graphics, a good contract. I approved it, I signed it and sent the 2 masters. And the next thing I heard, the bankruptcy of the company and the FBI took all away, you know. So I knew this guy from Atlanta, Georgia. He was a lawyer in a record company, one of the big record companies. So I told him the problem, and after a couple of weeks I had my masters back. So I was lucky, but it was another thing of life, you know, then you shouldn't do that. That was the second time and now stop it. Now, I outrage now, but it happens. It can happen.
So these are 2 situations that could have led to something.
Yeah, even with Don Preston, actually 3 situations. And I think that the material, the quality is good enough to be there. No problem. Without being a big hero now. But the effect should be another, maybe. That's my interpretation with 73, looking back of my life, you know. Mm. It doesn't have to happen.
Yeah, that's interesting because many people spend their whole life trying to make it happen, and some people make it happen and seem to be disappointed when it does happen, but you've decided that that's not for you. It demonstrates a level of integrity and honesty and a real heightened awareness of the self. So I think a lot of people tend to forget about that, you know, but it's very interesting and commendable that you've made those decisions and that you're happy with it. I don't perceive any regret about it.
No, it's okay. No, it's even good. And with the 73, I can say, I told you before, 1976, Holidays in San Peruccio. That was a concept, how should it be in music, you know, that post-twist band playing Anton Webern and something, you know. And that was a conception of life. And then I met you. So I did not try like this. Maybe I tried, but it never functioned, you know. But then you showed up. And so, what do I want more? I feel rich about this. Maybe that's the only thing which was important the whole time.
That's wonderful. That's really
it's very philosophical, you know, and it's not understandable for most of the people probably. Most of the people would say, it's a little bit odd, you know. Of course I'm odd.
A few days ago, I returned from Switzerland after my visit to see Stefan Signer. I spent a few days with Stefan, and the trip was twofold. I wanted to conduct an interview with him in preparation for this video, and to attend an event to celebrate and commemorate Stefan's musical career. It was also part of a book launch, Stefan Signer, The Musical Biography. The author of the book is Hans-Peter Spüri, who is a childhood friend of Stefan's. The editing group consists of Heidi Eisenhut, Peter Surbor, and Matthias Weishaupt. As Stefan mentions in his video, Zappa was an inspiration for him, not only musically but philosophically. Zappa had actually heard of Stefan Signer, was aware of who he was. I wanted to read you an extract from an interview that Stefan gave in 1987. In the interview says that Zappa heard of my music. He has recordings of it in his house, but I've never heard his opinion about it. Steve Vai once mentioned something to David Keith Baker from Greenworld Records. David is a friend of mine at my music for many years. The story goes is that the Zappa had made cassettes of Stefan's music and distributed to some of the members of the Zappa band. And as you may have seen from the thumbnail title of this video, what is this Swiss guy doing with all my scores? Frank Zappa actually said this to Jerry Fialka because at the time, Stefan Signer was the #1 buyer of Frank Zappa orchestral scores and other charts and lead sheets and things. And because he was buying so much, it obviously caught the attention of Frank Zappa. And this is the Zappa-Stefan Signer connection. He had an opportunity to meet Frank Zappa, but he didn't want to. I think maybe he felt that it was a bit strained or a bit of a forced kind of arrangement that he wasn't comfortable with. But he did spend time with Jerry Fialka, and he got to meet Walt and Tom Fowler, Bunk Gardner, Tony Duran, and of course Don Preston and Jimmy Carl Black. During our interview, Stefan shared a lot of stories and historical facts about his musical career over decades. And one of the most profound things for me during the interview was where he said that it didn't matter. It didn't matter that he had not become a big success as a musician and composer. He seemed to be very comfortable, genuinely and sincerely comfortable with the fact that he hadn't made it. It was almost like it wasn't important. It's another example of a musician who's there to make music. And that's what makes him happy, is just making music, not having to worry about the business side and all the other stuff that goes with becoming successful. Obviously, there are pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages on both sides of not being successful and being successful. Each one carries its own weight. But it was refreshing and inspiring to hear somebody who'd been in sort of a musician and composer for many years and had experienced some success, but wasn't bothered, as saying that he is mindful of preserving what he has done, particularly in Switzerland. So it's regional success, filtering out into other parts of the world at various points, particularly when he went to America in the 1980s and discovered that there were established musicians who had heard of his music and were quite fond of it. In 2011, Stefan donated his private archive to the cantonal library Appenzell Ausserrhoden. The archive consisted of photos, posters, scores, music cassettes, diaries, manuscripts, newspaper articles, and other various artifacts.
So, later today, the vernissage will take place in this building. We're expecting about 120 people. I'm planning to give a little speech in celebration of the book and to acknowledge Stefan's contribution to music in Switzerland.
On the day of the vernissage, Stefan appeared in this Swiss newspaper on the front cover, including a full page on page 24, and also a little advertisement for the book here. So he is well known in Switzerland. He is a renowned music and cultural figure. And the vernissage was a real pleasure to attend. I had a slot of about 10 minutes where I discussed some of his pieces. I had actually learned some of his pieces on the guitar, and it was a sort of a surprise. I played these for the audience and then deconstructed one of his orchestral pieces called Trust Me.
So if I play a C major scale, C1,
Everyone knows that sound, you know. It's
Man kennt das.
yeah, it's very familiar. Most musicians will choose the first, third, and fifth degree and play those notes at the same time.
1, 2, 5.
Yeah. And this is very familiar and a little bit boring.
Etwas langweilig und sehr vertraut jedenfalls. Offensichtlich it's not the way Steff
That's not the way Stefan composes. So if you reduce those two chords in the beginning of Trust Me to the most basic form, it would sound like this.
Zuerst C-Dur und
Basic form. With Stefan's harmony, you have
So although I was analyzing some of the music, I wanted to show to the audience, who consisted mostly of non-musicians, how a composer might put their music together. And you can do that by making comparative analyses between basic forms of chord construction, using numbers and just basic language to convey what you're trying to express. Stefan's most recent work is a piece called Wild Ride, which is composed for a small ensemble. The piece is intended to express a very difficult but rejuvenating time in Stefan's life from a few years ago. It's a very playful piece of music. It's also quite dark, it's dissonant, jagged, but there is a playfulness between the musicians and the soprano. The ensemble consists of Raphael Ruti on piano, David Schnee, viola, Alex Yelagi on cello, Martin Fluge on percussion, and the wonderful soprano Lena Kiepenhauer.
Singt im Traum.
I got to know him a little bit better in person. You know, there's a lot of gaps when you're communicating with somebody via email. And so it was a real pleasure to meet him, talk to him, and find out, you know, what made him tick, where was his inspiration coming from. would like to thank Stefan for his wonderful hospitality while I was staying in Switzerland. Heidi Eisenhut for her clear, informative, and very articulate emails, and of course for the Lindt chocolate, and all the other interesting people that I met at the vernissage. Thank you all very much, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.